Yes, welcome. Welcome back. I'm John, an old YouTuber from Denmark. It's close to 11 p.m. So actually it's a little bit too late to do this, but I think let's do this Ampere's force law. Ampere force law, then I'm finished with Ampere and André Marie Ampere, then Ampere's force law, then we can do tomorrow James Watts and magnetism. I just download. But let's get started. I'm tired. It's 11 p.m. Not sleep much tonight, but let's do this and then go to bed. Then I can continue tomorrow. Let's do that. Is Ampere's forces law. So that's final one for today. Because it's 11 p.m. There are living people around me and they maybe need to go to work tomorrow. So we have to stop this, read the whole documents.
Ampere's force law. Two current-carrying wires attract each other magnetically. The bottom wire has current I1, which creates magnetic field B1. The top wire carries a current I2 through the magnetic field B1, so, by the Lorentz force, the wire experiences a force F12. Not shown is the simultaneous process where the top wire makes a magnetic field which results in a force on the bottom wire. In magnetostatics, the force of attraction or repulsion between two current-carrying wires, see first figure below, is often called Ampere's force law. The physical origin of this force is that each wire generates a magnetic field, following the Biot-Savart law, and the other wire experiences a magnetic force as a consequence following the Lorentz force law. Contents. Equation special case, two straight parallel wires. General case. Historical background. Derivation of parallel straight wire case from general formula. Notable derivations of Ampere's force law. See also. References and notes. External links. Equation. Special case, two straight parallel wires. The best known and simplest example of Ampere's force law, which underlaid, before the 20th of May 2019, 1. The definition of the ampere, the SI unit of current, states that the magnetic force per unit length between two straight parallel conductors I swear is the magnetic force constant from the Biot-Savart law, is the total force on either wire per unit length of the shorter. The longer is approximated as infinitely long relative to the shorter, is the distance between the two wires, and, are the direct currents carried by the wires. This is a good approximation if one wire is sufficiently longer than the other, so that it can be approximated as infinitely long, and if the distance between the wires is small compared to their lengths, so that the one infinite wire approximation holds, but large compared to their diameters, so that they may also be approximated as infinitely thin lines. The value of depends upon the system of units chosen, and their value of decides how large the unit of current will be. In the psi system, 2, 3, with the magnetic constant, defined in psi units as 4, 5, thus, in vacuum the force per meter of length between two parallel conductors spaced apart by 1 m and each carrying a current of 1 am is exactly general case. The general formulation of the magnetic force for arbitrary geometries is based on iterated line integrals and combines the Biot-Savart law and Lorentz force in one equation as shown below. 6, 7, 8, where is the total magnetic force felt by wire 1 due to wire 2, usually measured in newtons. and are the currents running through wires 1 and 2, respectively, usually measured in amperes. The double-line integration sums the force upon each element of wire 1 due to the magnetic field of each element of wire 2, and are infinitesimal vectors associated with wire 1 and wire 2 respectively, usually measured in meters. See line integral for a detailed definition. The vector is the unit vector pointing from the differential element on wire 2 towards the differential element on wire 1, and r is the distance separating these elements. The multiplication is a vector cross product. The sign of is relative to the orientation. For example, if points in the direction of conventional current, then to determine the force between wires in a material medium, the magnetic constant is replaced by the actual permeability of the medium. For the case of two separate closed wires, the law can be rewritten in the following equivalent way by expanding the vector triple product and applying Stokes' theorem Sad-Smiley 9. In this form, it is immediately obvious that the force on wire 1 due to wire 2 is equal and opposite the force on wire 2 due to wire 1, in accordance with Newton's third law. Historical background. Diagram of original Ampere experiment. The form of Ampere's force law commonly given was derived by Maxwell and is one of several expressions consistent with the original experiments of Ampere and Gauss. The x-component of the force between two linear currents I and I as depicted in the adjacent diagram was given by Ampere in 1825 and Gauss in 1833 as follows. Sad-Smiley 10. Following Ampere, a number of scientists, including Wilhelm Weber, Rudolf Clausius, James Clerk Maxwell, Bernhard Riemann, Hermann Grassmann, 11, and Walther Ritz, developed this expression to find a fundamental expression of the force. Through differentiation, it can be shown that and also the identity with these expressions, Ampere's force law can be expressed as using the identities and Ampere's results can be expressed in the form as Maxwell noted. Terms can be added to this expression, which are derivatives of a function q, r, and when integrated, cancel each other out. Thus, Maxwell gave the most general form consistent with the experimental facts for the force on ds arising from the action of ds. Sad-Smiley 12. Q is a function of r, according to Maxwell, which cannot be determined, without assumptions of some kind, from experiments in which the active current forms a closed circuit. Taking the function q, r, to be off form, we obtain the general expression for the force exerted on ds by ds. Integrating around s eliminates k and the original expression given by Ampere and Gauss is obtained. Thus, as far as the original Ampere experiments are concerned, the value of k has no significance. Ampere took k equals 1, Gauss took k equals +1, as did Grassmann and Clausius, although Clausius omitted the s component. In the non-ethereal electron theories, Weber took k equals 1 and Riemann took k equals +1. Ritz left k undetermined in his theory. If we take k equals 1, we obtain the Ampere expression. If we take k equals +1, we obtain using the vector identity for the triple cross product. We may express this result as when integrated around ds the second term is 0, and thus we find the form of Ampere's force law given by Maxwell derivation of parallel straight wire case from general formula. Start from the general formula. Assume wire 2 is along the x-axis, and wire 1 is at y laughing smiley, z equals 0, parallel to the x-axis. Let be the x-coordinate of the differential element of wire 1 and wire 2, respectively. In other words, the differential element of wire 1 is at and the differential element of wire 2 is at. By properties of line integrals, and therefore, the integral is evaluating the cross product. Next, we integrate from to if wire 1 is also infinite. The integral diverges, because the total attractive force between two infinite parallel wires is infinity. In fact, What we really want to know is the attractive force per unit length of wire 1. Therefore, assume wire 1 has a large but finite length. Then the force vector felt by wire 1 is as expected. The force that the wire feels is proportional to its length. The force per unit length is the direction of the forces along the y-axis, representing wire 1 getting pulled towards wire 2 if the currents are parallel, as expected. The magnitude of the force per unit length agrees with the expression shown above. Notable derivations of Ampere's force law. Chronologically ordered Ampere's original 1823 derivation AC, André Koch-Torres, Chabe, JPMC, Ampere, André Marie, 2015. Ampere's electrodynamics, analysis of the meaning and evolution of Ampere's force between current elements, together with a complete translation of his masterpiece, Theory of Electrodynamic Phenomena, uniquely deduced from experience, PDF. Montreal, Ampere. ISBN 978-1-987980-03-5. Maxwell's 1873 Derivation Treatise on Electricity and Magnetism Volume 2. Part 4, Chapter 2, 502-527. Pierre Duhem's 1892 Derivation Duhem, Pierre Maurice Marie, the 9th of September, 2018. Ampere's Force Law, A Modern Introduction. Alan Aversa, trans. Do 10.1314/RG.2.2.311000.03206/1. Retrieved the 3rd of July, 2019. EPUB, translation of Leçons sur l'électricité et le magnétisme Volume 3, Appendix to Book 14 pp. 309-332, in French. Alfredo Rahil's 1938 Derivation Electromagnetic Theory, A Critical Examination of Fundamentals Volume 1, pp. 102-104, compare the following pages, 2. See also Ampere, magnetic constant, Lorentz force, Ampere's circuital law, free space, references and notes. 1/26 CGPM resolutions.
Yes, not read that, but now we should do James Watts. This is 8 March, last edit, 8 March is 11:10 p.m. We can maybe do the last one, do one more, James Watts, then I will not upload this right now. I will just continue.